Hello, Mr. Sullivan. Or should I say Mr. P or even Mr. LP? What's going on?
Yeah, that's it there, Mr. Davie LP. Literally, I'm gonna have to start calling myself that.
It's got quite a nice ring to it, I have to say. Davie LP.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks to the wonderful reception I'm receiving anytime I do one of those LP music reaction, it's just keep getting more and more. So yeah, I'm gonna have to change it now to Davie LP.
I've got to say, before you done those reactions, I'd never even heard of LP. And
Neither have
I'm very impressed by her music. I have to say, she's actually very, very good.
Yeah, 100%. Same for me as well. I never heard of her before, and it wasn't, until a very dear friend of mine actually told me about, try check out this song, react to it, and I thought, okay, I'll do it, and I literally just did it, and it just literally was just like a home run from there on because it was just like comments after comments and more recommendations, and it was like wow. And I think again, it's just the beauty of music, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think you may have a perception of someone, you look at someone and think, nah, they probably won't listen to that type of song. And then when you see not only do they listen to what you listen to, but they actually have, in-depth knowledge and appreciation of that music,
Yep.
it makes you think like, wow, maybe the second time when you throw something out there, it might be a tester again to see, let me see if this person's really legit or if that was just a fluke. And then once they saw that, oh, he really does like the music and he's actually talking about it,
Yeah.
giving details and what he thinks it may be a metaphor for, etc. And they're like, oh, we want more. So, I'm happy. And that's the beauty of music, sports, just entertainment and interaction, isn't it? It brings everyone, no matter where you're from or what walks of life across, together.
It brings us together. I think what a lot of people don't know about Davey LP is that when we were in school together, in secondary school together, Davey used to be one of those guys who genuinely loved English class. He
Yes.
genuinely used to love writing. He genuinely used to love learning about the simile and metaphor, not just in poetry, but also in the stories we used to read as well. So when you see Davey critiquing the songs and properly going through the lyrics and what they mean, what they could mean to the artist, but also what they mean to him, this is actually something he's been doing for as long as I've known him. It's not fake or anything. This is actually Davey down to a T. So
Thank
yeah,
you,
for at
Mendy.
least 25 plus years, this is the kind of man he's been. It's fair to
We
say, isn't it,
all,
Davey?
yeah, very true. We have to thank Mr. Levy, our
Yes, the
wonderful
great
English
Mr. Levy.
teacher, our wonderful English language and literature teacher for that, because he was just absolutely amazing. He was so passionate about, poetry, Shakespeare, the beauty of writing, of what it can actually mean, the impact it can have on someone. And when someone is so passionate about something, and you actually are fond of that person, it makes you want to
Yeah,
take an interest in their thing that they like as well. So, it makes you want to learn more about that. And, which is great sometimes because it often actually leads us to things that we didn't know we actually had in us that we could
exactly.
actually relate to and what we could actually do and achieve. So, thank you, Mr. Levy, if you're still there.
Hopefully he
Keep
still
up.
is. I think he'd be in his God, he'll probably be he'd be 90, he'd nearly be probably be about 90 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was 65 when we left school because he was on the verge of retiring, if I recall.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, definitely about that age. If not, rest in peace. You was a great inspiration to us. And I mean, I know today we're going to be talking about 90s
yeah,
music
so
part
it fits
three,
in.
but I mean, we just take a moment and just look back at influential people as well as music that has a great impact on us. Like I can think of, just straight off the top of my head right now, I can just think of like three teachers that really had a great impact on my life, like especially when I went to secondary school, coming from the Caribbean,
Yep.
so for those who doesn't know, like, I left Jamaica at the age of 11, and I was actually in sixth grade in primary school, came to London, and
So
for the
sorry, is it true that Jamaica actually deported you because they didn't want you anymore? Is that true? That's what I heard.
yeah, that's part of it. They're like, yes, you love music too much, you need to get out of here, yeah, drumming all the time or whatever. So
We've seen your collection of Air Supply CDs. Get out and go to the UK.
yes, that's it. Yeah, leave whether we've had enough of you. But yeah, I mean, literally just for someone like me, it was a great outlet when you have like a great teacher, someone, like a mentor. I mean, I didn't even know what a mentor was, but as you get older, you know what these things are, so that these people are actually great mentors for you. So like the three teachers that I can think of the top of my head, is Mr. Levy, who was our English literature and language teacher,
Yep.
um, Mr. Sharma, who
A
was
science
our
teacher.
science teacher,
Just a
and
cool
of
guy. Just a
course,
cool guy.
yes, and of course, Mr. Lawson, our French teacher. He was just an absolute
Was con-
inspiration, like an absolute inspiration. And these three men, were very positive in my life, at that age, especially when you're, like we said, when we talk about the 90s music, we're trying to find an identity. We're trying to find where we belong. And it's one thing when you're already in a country, if you're born and you're there, so you kind of have a little bit of an identity. But when you're new to the surrounding, you're not from there, forget just the area, you're not from that part of the world, you're not from that continent,
yeah.
and you're now there. It's a whole new shock value for you, because for me, when I actually came there, I mean, I know we're digressing, but this is fun. So we freestyle, you know how we do. But I literally came under the pretense, because they didn't want to tell me because we were young, that I was actually coming to London just for Christmas. So, here I am in primary school, carefree and all, happy go lucky, I'm like to my friends, yeah, what toys you want? And I'm like to my friend, yeah, I'm gonna bring you back a Ninja Turtle, because Ninja Turtle was popular back then.
Oh
Captain
yes. Oh
Panic,
yes. Yep.
Transformers, Defenders of the Earth. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bring you a Captain Planet toy. I'm gonna bring that, I'm thinking, yep, I'm just going for 6 weeks for Christmas. And I literally got there, and then I saw my sister, who was slightly younger than me, who was like at primary school. She was like in the third, fourth grade in primary school. She's coming home, with uniform. And I'm looking at it like, shows how oblivious and innocent I was. I'm looking like, that's not the primary school uniform that we wear in Jamaica.
Yeah.
What's she getting that for? And then I'm seeing her starting school, and then I'm going to a school and I'm taking a test. And for me now, again, it was a bigger culture shock for me, because I go from being in a mixed school, to now I'm going to this like all boys school taking a test. I'm going from primary school straight into secondary school, or, for those who's not in the UK, high school. So literally going from primary school to high school, it was just like a big leap for me. And then also just the whole culture change was just different. So again, you're not really familiar with many people, you don't know anyone, climate, everything is different. So again, you're lost. So again, in a lot of cases for us, which goes right back into what our topics have been about, music. Music was sort of like a comfort, an escape, and also a safe, a safe haven for someone,
Yeah.
because no matter what problems you have, even, forget taking me out of the equation, just in general, at that age, any issue you have, if you're angry at home, you're angry at school, you had a bad day, it's always something like music or entertainment. There's always something around entertainment that will actually help, be
Yeah.
your therapy to actually, ease you through whatever you're actually going through or whatever. Which is why, when we get older like we are now, when you hear certain songs that's, linked to
It,
your
ta- it
past,
it takes us back to that comforting moment.
and it takes you right, you can literally remember everything in that moment that you were
Yeah.
doing at that particular
You can
time.
suddenly smell things, taste things
Yes.
from that era.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, if you look at even when with elderly pensioners, for instance, who suffer like from dementia, things like that. What do they tend to use sometimes to help rehabilitate them?
The
Music.
music they were listening to in their teens and early 20s.
Yes, because even though they may forget certain things, their loved ones may bring a CD, well now it's a CD, or maybe like on your phone, they'll go on their iTunes or their Spotify, whatever it is, or YouTube, and they'll bring up that song that they know was, you know, synonymous with their parents' time frame when they
Yeah.
were healthy and full of life, and they play those songs, and you'll be like, you'll see, even if they can't speak, you'll tend to see that there's, they perk up, they slightly
They're
have a bit
taken
more
back.
life in them
The,
because they're familiar with it, even if they can't verbalize what they're saying or what they're feeling. You can just tell just by their own body language that what, that's actually hit a spark. So
yeah.
it's a wonderful thing when you have something like that, which is the beauty of music again, which goes to show that we shouldn't be closed-minded when it comes to music, entertainment, or anything, because music, once it's good music and it affects you and it has an impact on you, it doesn't matter who the artist is or what they're actually singing. Like one of my favorite songs for me, like growing up again when I was just coming to the UK,
Hmm.
it's an actual Indian song from a Bollywood movie.
Really? Which
Oh,
one?
yeah, Didar.
Dida. Okay,
Yes.
I shall ask my mother about Dida.
Oh, I'll send it to you. I've even got it on my playlist. I absolutely loved it. I literally was up one night, in the summer of like 93, 94, and I was watching back then, we only had four channels, like, BBC One, Two, ITV, and Channel 4. And it was actually on Channel 4 about 2 a.m. in the morning. I was up like during the summer and I saw this movie and I was like watching it. And it's the first time I'm seeing, like a Bollywood movie,
Yeah.
with like the dancing, the singing. And I think even from a young age, like, which shows like reading, everything is very good. Like, I always loved, like, subtitles didn't deter me from watching something.
No, no.
I saw something with subtitles. I'm still interested and I'm still enjoying it just as I would if it was in English, a native language or my native language. So, it was like great. And when I saw the song and the dancing and everything, I was like, oh my God, I love this movie. And funnily enough, about 4 years ago, my ex-partner, she actually, for
Hmm.
Christmas, she actually went and she found that movie for me on DVD and bought it for me for Christmas. And it was the best present that I actually got. But I mean, I got other great,
Awesome.
like expensive, but to me, that meant so much more than everything else because it brought me right back to my childhood. I remember that summer night, literally, like, watching that at home late with the TV volume slightly down because, you should be in bed,
Yeah.
literally like like at 13 years old, you shouldn't be up at 2 a.m., but, you snuck out into the front room because there's just one TV in the house and you're watching it with the volume down and the front room door slightly ajar because you're like, look, you need to listen out in case someone is coming. So you could
Indeed.
like
Indeed.
turn it off or whatever because it's not like now where kids will have TV in every room and you've got your devices like your tablets, your laptops, iPad. There was none of that for us. So literally it was just that was it. Like, but it was just amazing. And again, that was also something that also brought my love for music even more because music was a safe haven for
Absolutely.
everything that you're going through. So I mean, for you,
Absolutely.
Manny P, what would you say? Or going back, like I said, I had those three teachers that was like,
Yeah.
yeah, great mentors, and they also inspired me to actually be, like you said, more creative in terms of like writing and how I
Hmm.
appreciate certain things. So who would you say? What were your influence or your mentor? Who would you say besides me?
So, besides you,
Yeah, I mean, take me out of the equation because I don't have
okay,
any
but
mentor.
we're going to have a serious talk offline later about.
Pay deduction, pay deduction.
No, not that. I just think maybe you've got a overinflated view of your of the
Of
influence
my
you had on me.
yes.
Um, To be honest, in terms of like, I mean, you've talked about like things that made teachers that made you passionate. I touched upon this in like the last one, I think, but I mentioned that both my brother and my sister were 13, and my sister's 13 years older than me. My brother's 12 years older than me.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, for example, music, sister's like a huge influence in terms of music. My sister growing up was probably the one who taught me how to pick out like really emotive parts in songs and how they mean, you know, how they give a song a greater meaning,
Yeah.
so to speak, you know, and just kind of taught me about good music in general, I would say. My brother was the one who got me into all the Marvel stuff, and you know, he was the one collecting comics from 1981. I was born in 1981, so
Me
by the
too.
time, you know,
Yeah. Hey. Shout
so
out to
but
1981.
yeah, and so by the time I was like 8 or 9, I had this like already in my house, like this huge like back catalogue of comics I could like read, and I've probably read all that stuff like 4 or 5 times over now. Like over like obviously he carried on collecting, so obviously like nearly 3,000 Marvel comics I've probably read in my lifetime. But those were like the two main influences for me in terms of me becoming a cool person.
Oh, of course, very cool. But I mean, not trying to cut you, but just
Yeah,
touching on that point. But it goes to show, like what we were saying earlier, like when I said, when someone is a mentor and you look up to them and you
yeah,
appreciate that person, you kind of like idolize them. What they like, you tend to gravitate to it.
yeah.
So I mean, again, it goes to show, like I mean, like you said, with your brother with the Marvel stuff and your sister with the music, it made you appreciate music. I mean, you became a musician yourself. I
I
mean,
wouldn't call myself a musician properly, but I'll
well, just because it's not you're doing it full time doesn't mean the fact is you know music. You played in a band. I've seen you played in a band. I've been there in there screaming. I didn't throw any panties. Sorry, but that
those weren't
was
yours.
no, those weren't mine.
He
Definitely.
even had Davie P written in there with your mum's handwriting.
Yeah, that's it. There, I stole. I went stole some, wrote on there like I was like, yep, that's what a friend do. A good wingman, he'll support you. Throw panties on stage there or whatever. But
It
even
was
that.
appreciated.
That's what I'm there for, good friends. But again, it goes to show, and what you like, the fact that your brother influenced you for that with the Marvel stuff, it made you liked it. And then what did
Yeah.
you also do? You shared that with people who you are close to, like your friends, because I'm the first to say, you got me into comics, literally like, from a
Oh,
young
cheers,
age.
man.
But it was true. Remember, we used to go on the buses. I looked forward to those trips. Like, yeah, we're going to Forbidden Planet. Go to
Yeah.
Forbidden Planet. Which was like one of the big, not just comic books, but it did all the graphic novels. It did like all the action
Toys.
figures,
Yeah, all the
the
toys,
toys,
all the action
everything
figures.
for Aliens, Terminator, for all those kind of things or whatever. And you actually got me in those. So we were actually into all these kind of things before it became trending like it is now. Like, a lot of the people who's now into it, they're just into it because it's the in thing. But, we're actually into it before there was even a movie. We didn't even know, I never thought in my lifetime we'd get to see a
Yeah.
X-Men movie, any of these characters on the Transformers. I mean, Transformers is from when we're kids.
Remember that. Finish your point, and then I'm going to segue onto back onto Transformers and music.
Transformers was something, I remember as a kid. I remember watching the Transformer animated movie, and it had that song, You Got the Touch, You
Yes, that's
Got the
exactly what I was going to talk about.
Power. And I was just like, oh my God, that was just so awesome or whatever. But I never thought in my life, I'd get to actually see a Transformer movie or whatever. And then now, here we are. We've gone to the cinemas to watch all those movies, and even some of the ones from our childhood that they then made, which wasn't very great. Some, yeah, you did go and watch. Some, you had to kind of like take a backseat to like, Dragon Ball Z, that kind of thing, which was also something that I was into. But that was later on, like, while I was older. But even that, which was a big part of even I think that brought like me and my brothers who's younger than me close because, I used to come home and watch Dragon Ball Z
Mm-hmm.
and he was like primary school at the time, primary school age, because I'm just like your brother's gap between you and your sister, I should say, is the same. 13 years is the gap between me and my brother. I'm the
Yeah.
oldest, then my sister, then my brother, and then I've got a younger one, literally. So, he started watching those things with me as well. And then literally, he grew up and we love Dragon Ball Z and they share that like for that as well too. But again, it's those kind of things. I got him into like, anime, all these different Japanese anime, even with the subtitles. And he also appreciates that as well too, because when he sees some of it in English, he's like, no, it doesn't sound the same. And the reading doesn't deter it. So again, it goes to show that if you're an influence slash mentor to someone, no matter what it is, even if it's something that's not the norm that people might not think cool, if they look up to you and they appreciate what you like, they will
Yep.
like the same things as well too, because it brings you closer. You have something to actually like talk about, and that was one
Well,
of the
well,
great things
well, in a weird way,
for
the
us.
internet's kind of mentored you to become an LP fan
There we go,
i-
exactly, and
in
now
a
it's
bizarre
making us
way.
meet people from all over because, like we said this so many times before. Who would have thought? Literally, like 8 weeks ago, 8 9 weeks ago, we started speaking about possibly, we should do a podcast, do something like that, but we want it to be authentic because, we're not doing these fake things like what people are doing, these fake pranks and all that kind of nonsense, which is just for views. We're just, four friends that literally grew up together from school days and we hang out, we go on holidays together, we do stuff. So it's just like, you know what? It's just like what we normally do, but now, we'll share it with people. And, you never know who we could actually inspire and
Yeah.
how many more people, connection, how circle could actually get bigger based on that or whatever. Because as much as the internet may have a lot of things that's negative, it also has a lot of positive things to it or whatever. So we just thought, you know what? Why not? And here we are. And it's just been so fun. I mean, I have to talk about you now, Manny, because
Me? What have I done?
you was literally like, you know what? I'm not sure I really want to be on the front page. I more would rather like take a back seat and you guys do the
To be fair,
talking and
I've
doing
had
all
to
that.
take a front seat because where the hell are the other two?
Well, that's true. But at the same time, you see, adversity brings out the best
This is true.
because
This is true.
here you are now. Literally, you could actually have your own talk show because you know exactly how to, you know, navigate, how to direct, how to put things together. Literally, you're like a
I'm still
one-man
learning. I'm still
production
learning.
team.
But
And here you go.
one thing is
Still
though,
learning.
Joe Rogan's getting a lot of stick on the internet right now. So hey, maybe we could take his place one day.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan also got paid. So whether they want to give him stick or not, the fact that he sold his stuff for, was it like a couple hundred millions to Spotify?
Oh yeah, ridiculous amount of money to sign for
So
Spotify.
yeah, take the stick, Joe. But you know what? He got paid, and rightly so, because he put in the work.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm just making a silly comment.
Of course, but it's a valid point. It's just the fact that anything can happen, and here we are. So you were going to make a point about the whole Transformers.
Okay, so talking about music as what we're here to do. So if we're talking about my love for music in the 90s, my love for music probably began with the Transformers the movie, the animated Transformers movie from 1986 or 7 or something like that. So that was the first movie I ever saw in the cinema. So I guess as a child, I would have been 5 or 6 or something like that, I imagine. So it would have been my first experience. So that cinema experience would have been, I guess, the greatest thing for me ever in the world. And that movie's got this amazing hair metal soundtrack. As you've just said, it's got that Stan Bush song, "You Got the Touch." But like one of the first things, one of my earliest memories is watching that movie and seeing the Decepticons like raid the Autobot ship and kill 4 of my favorite Autobots in the most gruesome manner possibly. But they just done it to this like amazing, like very 80s. It is very 80s, but it's amazing like heavy metal song in the background as they're doing it. I was like, God, this is cool. And this music they're playing in the background is cool and it matches everything that's going on. And
Yeah, but
yeah,
here's
this
a
is
real
like,
question: did you
yeah.
cry
No, I
when
didn't
that?
cry I didn't cry when Optimus Prime died. Yeah, I've never cried in the cinema, I don't think.
Have I
I've
cried
been
in this?
close. I've never cried. I've never cried
Yeah,
in the cinema.
close. Yeah, same. Close, but yeah, I held it in. I held it in like a manly man.
Like a manly man.
And then I cried at home.
But yeah, so yeah, I think that entire soundtrack kind of set me up for the music I'll end up loving in the future.
But that's amazing because for me, when I watched it, I never watched it until actually I moved to the UK.
Hmm.
And it's my other friend, who we're talking about, who was trying to get on the football podcast last
Yeah,
week, Carla. He was
yeah,
actually the one I watched it at his house. So this would have been 92, 93. Yeah, I think it was either
yeah.
when I came in 92 for Christmas, I watched it there, or it would
Hmm.
have been sometime in 93. We watched it because he had it on VCR,
Yeah.
on video cassette. So we actually watched it. So that was actually my first time watching it because my actual first time to the cinemas, to any cinema, I was actually 15, 15 years old in the
Oh wow.
UK. That was my first time to the cinema, and it's my close friend who I'm actually staying with here in Jamaica, who I refer to as my big brother. It's when
Hmm.
he came to London. He was at university at the time because he's older than
Yep.
us, and he was doing the international work experience. So he spent 6 months at my house in the
Hmm.
UK. He worked and whatnot. And it's him. He actually took me to the cinema. So that was my first time actually going to the cinema when he took me. And at the time, yeah, so I was like 15 years old there because that was 96. So
Yeah.
that was my first time actually going to the cinema or whatever. But I still thought Transformers, watching it on VCR, it was actually like super cool. And it was just so captivating. And even though it was 80s, but at the time, it's just like now for us. Anything that comes out now for us, you're thinking it's the best, because of technology and whatnot or whatever.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, just watching that, animated movie, you're thinking, oh my God, that's like the best, literally like watching that type of thing back then, for that time, it's actually great. When you look back at it now, I mean, for us, we'll appreciate it because we
To
know the
me,
history.
it
Yeah.
still stands up as a great movie.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying, like, in terms of like even the picture quality, everything, we look at it now and think, we'll appreciate it because we're from that era.
Yeah.
Whereas someone from like a younger generation, we're looking at it like, what's that? That's not high. That's not 4K high definition.
Yeah.
They were looking at it that way or whatever. For us, that was like 4K. That was everything combined back then or whatever. It was just like
Well, actually, for that
absolute.
movie, they did use like Japanese anime animators to
Yeah,
make that movie, which is why if you watch the Transformers movie, then watch some of the Transformers episodes, it's an entirely separate feel because of the different types of animators they used.
yeah. I mean, that's even quite obvious even now with certain anime. When you're watching now, you can see, like for instance, from the first seasons, as the seasons progress,
Hmm.
how the quality of the animation gets better and better. Even now in modern day time, like for instance, like I could think of two off the top of my head, like Naruto. If you watch
Yep.
Naruto, watch the first few seasons, and then watch as it start to get more successful. I don't know if it's a bigger budget they're using in terms of for the quality of the animation and everything else, but it starts to get better and better. One Piece is the same thing as well too. You look at like from the first 800, 800 episodes, to like 801 upwards, and you see the quality of the animation changes and it gets better and
Yeah.
better. So you can tell, like you said, when they use certain animators, and artists, as opposed to like regular when it's just
Yeah.
not the same quality or maybe not the same, budget they're actually working on.
And before we move away from Transformers back onto music, it's worth noting as well in the animated movie, you have to remember that Orson Welles does the voice for Unicron.
Oh,
And
is he the same one who did Megatron.
No. Do you know who Orson Welles is, Davian? You must know who Orson Welles is.
Who's that?
Orson Welles. He's this hugely famous actor and director from the 40s.
From which one?
He's this hugely famous actor and director from the 40s all the way up to when he died in the 80s. So let me just read out a few movies which Orson Welles is responsible for.
How do you spell his name? I'm gonna be, because I've got my trusty phone in my hand, so I can quickly go in. Because
so
sometimes
have you ever
don't know the names, but when you see the pictures, you be like, "Oh, I know who it is. Is it Orton? Orton?
Orson.
Orton.
Orson. So have you ever watched Citizen Kane?
Oh, there we go. It comes up now. As soon as I typed in his first name, it came up. Orson Welles.
So you must know Citizen Kane. From 1941, regarded one of the greatest movies ever made.
Which one?
Citizen Kane.
No, I'm not sure.
You've never seen Citizen Kane? Well, these are all movies you have to watch. Othello.
You mean Shakespeare Othello?
Yep. The Stranger. Basically, he's one of the greatest actors and directors.
I've got his filmography up, and it's showing the movies. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So
Orson Welles, Citizen Kane, K-A-N-E, The Third Man, Touch of Evil, The Other Side of the Wind, Lady from Shanghai. That actually sounds familiar.
So you probably have heard of a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is like one of the legends of cinema, to be fair. And Leonard Nimoy done the voice for Galvatron.
Okay, Mr. Spock.
Yeah, in that movie. So yeah, it's just a movie full of stars, is what I can describe it as. But anyway, we'll move back onto the music. So we were meant to be talking more about. Well, let's go through the story. Raoul texted us and said, God, I still had a lot more to say about the 90s, the early 90s, but I never got around to it in the previous stream. So I said, right, cool, we'll set up another stream. Raoul, when are you free? And he said, 8 p.m. on Friday should be cool. And it's 8 p.m. on Friday, and it's just us two here. So
yes, it's what is it for me now? It is 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon, as I'm 6 hours behind you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yeah, I mean, we can still continue. We can go to the late 90s. I mean, we were literally at 97 last time we were talking. So literally when we were finishing secondary school.
Yeah. So just before we continue, I found an article, because I think there is a sense that when you're a teenager, music does hit harder for some reason. And I think a lot of it is because these are maybe melodies, because let's face it, a lot of melodies are recycled over time. But these might be the first time you're hearing a lot of these melodies. So it's kind of like having that it's like your first love, isn't it? There's always going to be something special about that. Yeah. Compared to your latter ones. But so people have actually studied this, and so in your teens, apparently, like the reason it has such an impact is because it gives teenagers a sense of belonging, is one of the reasons. Importantly, music helps adolescents release or control emotions, or helps them cope with difficult situations such as peer pressure, substance abuse, study pressure, family pressure, or just the dynamics of friendship and social life. Again, so those are the main things. But I think for me, that's immensely true. So probably by the time you were in year 9, I was really getting into Nirvana. And I think, again, like lyrically, like a lot of the stuff which Kurt Cobain was singing about was actually about like being a teenager and, just trying to navigate yourself through school. Like, take, for example, here the lyrics from Lithium. I'm so happy because today I found my friends. But they're in my head. I'm so ugly, but that's okay because so are you. Just little lyrics like that are just, I think typified secondary school so much for me personally. Just trying to fit in and, make a name for yourself.
No, but I think that's a very good point you said, where music helps you deal with emotion and everything you're going through. For me, one song, like one rock song to me that actually did that was what's it called? Disappear for the
Metallica
for the
Until I Disappear.
Mission Impossible, for the Mission Impossible soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
That was just such a cool song. Like, the guitar riffs, just everything, literally, like, even the lyrics, was just like absolutely amazing. Like, you just, he's literally saying, I'm pain, I'm hope, I'm suffer. Literally, it's like, it's speaking like what you're actually going through. So it's describing all the different emotion and what you're actually going through. And the fact it's an aggressive but a therapeutic song. It's like you can actually say what you need to say in a safe environment. You can be angry and say,
yep,
and it's still safe because you're not going out and doing anything crazy. And sometimes that's all you need. You just need a good music, a good song, just to help you to deal with your mindset right there and then you're able to just gather your thoughts together, and then you literally just regroup, strategize, and then take a step forward.
Yeah. I mean, even like in that song, the lyric, "Do you bury me when I'm gone? Do you teach me while I'm here?
While I'm here.
Just as soon as I belong.
It's time I disappear," which is just absolutely amazing. I might have to do a reaction to that. Don't steal that, Manny.
Sorry, I'm not going to do a reaction to. I have plenty of my favorite hard rock and metal songs, which I want you to react to in time. I have a big list of them. Maybe move you a bit away from LP and get you reacting to some other stuff.
Don't let them come at you. My LP fans will be coming at you.
LP's always going to be there. Don't worry. LP's always going to be there.
There we go. Always going to be there. So we're safe, guys. We're safe. We're just going to add more, more arsenal to the weaponry. But
variety is the spice of life. The same way I've been checking out Vibes Cartel, for example.
That is just absolutely amazing. And
by the way, Dave, you need to check out the amount of hate I'm getting on the Azalea Banks comment section. Jesus Christ, I've hit a nerve.
That is absolutely amazing. And you know what that means now, Manny? When you get stressed from all that hate, you can go and listen to some music for therapy to help you deal with that.
Do you mean like some actual decent music as opposed to?
Oh, there we go. He's still shooting. Bang, bang.
Listen, it was an average song. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a great song. Compared to...
Listen, you might keep talking and she might come after you directly because she's slightly a bit cuckoo.
Okay, well,
I told you that there's an Instagram post of her where she actually dug up her dead cat and was boiling it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to
critique it. Yeah, don't critique her music right there because she might just send you a little, a DM like, "Manny P, you see what I did to my cat and I loved it? Think what I'll do to you."
Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave Azalea Banks alone now. On the other hand, like the Vibes Cartel fans seem like very nice people.
Yeah, because we love it. I mean, Caribbean people, Jamaican people in general is very loving and accepting. It's a fact. For people who's not been to Jamaica, and they're probably, oh my God, I won't be safe if I go to Jamaica. No, you'll be safe. The motto for Jamaica is out of many, one people.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what that means, in case I need to break it down for some people, it means that Jamaica.
Sorry, Dave. Penny says, "Evening, lads. Where is everyone?" That's a great question.
And the answer to that is bing, 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 bing.
What? I was waiting for you to say something.
Don't know. Absent without authorized leave.
AWOL. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, we're just chatting about stuff.
So yeah, as you're here, Penny, you can tell us what in your time, like we were speaking earlier about people that were mentor to us. So like I said, for me, it was my science teacher, well, our science teacher, because we had the same science teacher, Mr. Sharma, our English language and literature teacher, Mr. Levy, and our French teacher, the wonderful Mr. Lawson.
Just the three of us.
Didn't he sing just the two of us?
Yeah, that's the joke, Davian. That's the joke. That's the joke.
Changing up the. Sorry, Duke. I'm a bit slow, but okay, I get it now. Oh, I get it. Oh, there's three. Yeah, I get it now.
Oh, jeez. For the record, it was actually Bill Withers who originally wrote that song. Just want to put it out there. Give the original artist their
Listen, you don't have to worry about with Azealia Banks. You don't want the Will Smith fans to come and be like, "You disrespecting him? You disrespecting him?"
Yeah, but I'm going to stop talking about Azealia Banks because I don't want to die. Wow, indeed. No, yeah, it's a great song by Bill Withers. Again, he's called Just the Two of Us, but Bill Withers recently passed away, but one of the greatest songwriters ever, without a shadow of a doubt. Bill Withers also wrote.
Yeah, what? Sorry, man.
So I was going to say that Bill Withers also wrote. "I'll Be There, I'll Be Your Friend."
Which "I'll Be There"? The "I'll Be There" that Michael Bolton sing?
No. I'll help you carry on. No, I've just transitioned into a different song there.
Yeah, I don't know what that song is.
I'll get the lyrics up.
The Michael Bolton "I'll Be There." I love Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
That boy can sang. S-A-N-G, not sing. S-A-N-G, sang. That basically means he's, as the American black folks would say, he's
Lean on Me. Lean on Me. He wrote to Lean on Me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Bill Withers wrote to Lean on Me. Yes.
Michael Bolton sang that too.
Did he? Yeah. Well, Bill Withers wrote that. The sample from Blackstreet. What's the big Blackstreet song? Not The Fix.
No Diggity.
Yeah, No Diggity.
No diggity.
I didn't say.
Diggity. You said diggity.
I didn't repeat it. You know the song which goes. The little humming bit they've got in that song. Yeah, so that's a Bill Withers. That's a Bill Withers song as well. From a song called Grandma's Hands, which is a beautiful song. So Penny's actually driving home with us in the background. And drive safely, Penny. You can't see, but Damien's actually doing some weird dance.
Yeah, be grateful you can't see, Penny. Trust me, it's not something for the faint of heart. It was a shimmy.
Yeah, a little shimmy.
Yeah.
But no, but Bill Withers, great songwriter, definitely worth checking out.
But that brings us to a real important question I want to ask now, Manny P. Do you think the quality of
music has gotten worse? Yes, I do. It's bloody awful.
We know that. but the quality of writing, where people would actually think about what they're writing, do you think it's actually really diminished, or do you think it's the fact that people just see, well, you know what, no one's interested in that, so I'm not even gonna go there? Do you think if it was a situation now where you had to write a good song, a song that actually made sense, that actually had meaning, do you think a lot of these artists now would be able to do it, or do you think they're just so wrapped in this gimmick of saying nothing and it being successful that they wouldn't be able to survive?
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. I think there are a lot of issues with the music industry at the moment. In the world, I think we're entering this kind of phase where everything's got to be cookie cutter, everything's got to be the same, and we're moving more and more away from kind of letting artists be individuals. For example, would David Bowie be signed in 2021? No, you'd have somebody say you ain't got the look, and you've got a weird English voice. We're not going to sign you.
He's not. Yeah, he's not talented.
Yeah,
because you get all these, these generic shows like the X Factor and the Voices
exactly.
and these kind of things, where it's not even really about the talent; it's more about the judges on there.
Exactly. So we've entered this era where kind of like the A&R man, for example, is deciding what the talent is. Whereas in the past, it'll be their job to help the talent. But now they've gotten so big that they think, oh, we can actually decide what the talent is, which is awful. And the thing that really hurts me is that music just doesn't seem to have an edge anymore. It doesn't at all feel risky anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's also based on how society is right now, with all these, everything is so politically correct right now. It's like, you can't say certain things, you can't do. I mean, you look at certain songs, like for instance, like Tom Jones, What's New Pussycat? I think Tom would get in some serious problems if this was now and he
Tom
sang
Jones.
that. I love Tom Jones. If he sang, Oh Baby, It's Cold Outside, if that was written right now, guarantee you someone from, like the specials unit in the police for crime victim would probably come and speak to Tom, because he literally is trying to coerce her into stay. She wants to go, and he's like, oh, but baby, it's cold outside, just come in. Like literally, he's trying to get her to stay or whatever. That's in this PC correct term now, like literally, he would be in problems. And we're saying that as a joke, but it's genuine, because look at the fact, that they're actually saying, you probably know this already, but that Pepe Le Pew will not be appearing in Space Jam 2.
Yes, because he's, to be fair, Pepe Le Pew, there's issues about that. What is he? He's a skunk, isn't he? There are huge issues surrounding Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew out there trying to get them girls by any means necessary.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue, Davey, with Pepe Le Pew.
But they said the same thing about Johnny Bravo.
Oh, sorry, Penny's just at red light. Tom Jones actually has a new album out. Penny, are you going to be purchasing said album? Let us know. Sorry, where were we?
Yeah, we're talking about Pepe Le Pew, and his issues which got him into losing out now. He can't make no money. He's disgraced. He's no longer allowed in Warner Brothers. Now he's got like all sorts of characters going to be coming out. What do you mean, no, Penny? You're not going to be listening to, I know you're probably saying that to show face. And really and truly, you're going to be rocking them Tom Jones.
It's okay, Penny. We've all got guilty pleasures.
Yeah. Tom Jones was the man, though, with them flare trousers. If
you want to rock out to some Tom Jones, it's fine. We're not going to judge you.
Flare trousers, the shirt with a couple of the buttons undone, the little one chain. What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, that was the joint right there. It was wrong, possibly creepy, but it sold.
Looking back now, I actually think there's a few Tom Jones songs with some worrying lyrics.
Yeah. But he does look like he's a gentleman. He looks like, even though he may sing certain things, he's not that way in kind. It's kind of like when you talk about certain rappers. It's like, for instance, we're talking about, again, we're digressing right now, but we remember we're talking about yesterday, we're talking about
That's
Michael
more
Jai
like it.
White.
Penny says if he's good enough for Carlton, he's good enough for me.
If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Good enough for you. What? There you go. See, I turned that into a song. There you go, Penny. And
A
a
song?
shimmy.
You mean a song that's already been written by a band called Dodgy,
Yes. I never said
who
it
are
was my
actually from
song.
Hackney, believe it or not.
There you go. See, from our neck of the woods. So supporting the talent.
Actually from Stoke Newington, I think even more your neck of the woods.
There you go. Because I lived in Stoke Newington for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So yes, there you go. Shout out to Stoke Newington. Shout out to Hackney. Shout out to Good Enough for You, and shout out to all those who's doing the shimmy. So yeah, but yeah, we're talking about Michael Jai White yesterday. Remember, we were having that conversation about
Yep.
Michael Jai White, and we were also talking about Mark Dacascos. And funnily enough, where was it? Got brain freeze right now. It was to do with music and movies. Is that another message coming in? Are the fans logging in now? Ready for more in-depth conversations about
I'll just
things.
find out what you were talking about. 1 second.
It was about stuff.
Something Batman, Soul of the Dragon.
Yeah, no, I was saying like he's now doing the new Batman. He's also, but again, it's one of those where you talk about something and you speak it and it come into existence. We're talking about him and saying, oh, yeah, he's that guy. He's done this. He's done that. Because we're talking about a particular film from
Yeah.
the 90s, which one of our Boho Chevy wasn't aware of that movie.
No.
Only the Strong. It was one of the first capoeira movie I ever saw, and it was just like, oh my god, I was like amazed by it. It was actually one of the last films I actually watched before I came to the UK from Jamaica. I watched it on video, rented it, and I watched it, and I thought, oh my god, this movie was like, for me, it was just like it's like an Avenger or something. It's like it was that cool, like it was just super cool or whatever. And I came back, and then I saw him in a few more movies later on, but again, that was just like things where, again, that's one of those movies, just like I told you about that movie Didar that I actually got on DVD. I actually went and I found this movie on DVD. I had to buy it, okay, from Canada, got it sent over to me in the UK, but because it had an impact on me, like, you think of that time, you're back in that headspace of what you were doing right
Yep.
there and then when you actually was watching that film. So every time you see it, again, it will always have an emotional connection because
Yeah.
it's meaningful to you or whatever. So that is absolutely amazing. So even on that same topic, Manny, what would you say would be a movie that you have in your collection where something from your past that you still have now?
A movie, which I still go back to and watch, do you mean?
Yeah. And you still get that feeling, you watch it like, oh yes.
It's a tough question for me. Not really a big movie watcher anymore, I have to say. I am one of those people who, once I've watched the movie, I've watched it.
Oh my God.
And it's
Shame on you.
And it's very rare I go back to it. But something for me was more from the 80s, but something I could always go back to and enjoy would be Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh my God, that is absolutely, I love that movie. Kurt Russell was absolutely awesome in that.
It's just the perfect mix of comedy and kung fu, and it's silly and ridiculous, but it's so
But
cool
it
at the same
worked.
time.
And even at that time, because of the type of technology that was available, it doesn't look ridiculous. Now you look at it, you're like, oh my God, those CGI was really bad back then. But that's because we've been so spoilt now because of the era that we're in now, because of our advanced technologies,
Yeah.
that we say that. But back then, you never had anyone saying, oh my God, the CGI was horrible. Because you didn't even know the difference between a great CGI to one that was really bad, because that was what was in, that was what was available. So you worked with what you actually have. And yeah, that was an amazing movie. And I hope the rumors isn't true, but I did hear a rumor that they're possibly going to do a remake of it with The
Yeah,
Rock,
yeah.
with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And I love The Rock for wrestling, but let's face it, The Rock is not the greatest of. He's not the greatest actor out there. You know, he's no Morgan Freeman. He's no
he's,
Daniel
he's
Day
he's
Lewis.
definitely not Morgan Freeman. That is true.
Definitely no, Daniel Day Lewis. He's just good for small roles.
Yeah, but I think again, like Big Trouble in Little China was a movie that was allowed to have character. It was allowed to be serious, and it was allowed to be itself. And like music today, compared to the music we grew up listening to in the 90s, again, the music we grew up in listening to in the 90s, it was allowed to be itself. It was allowed to be mean. It was allowed to be silly. It was most importantly allowed to be joyous, but it was allowed to be itself as well.
Yeah,
I just
but
don't
see,
think I don't think that exists today.
this is the beauty of live right now because now I actually remembered my point. What I was trying to make when I when my brain went brain dead, and I talk about Michael Jai White was talking about Tom Jones and the music, and I was saying, even though you were saying some of his lyrics were a bit iffy back then, now you're
Mhm.
looking back at it, and I'm saying, but he looks like a nice guy, and I'm saying, looks can be deceiving. I was talking about Michael Jai White is because Michael Jai White is an actual famous real life martial
Yep.
artist. He's not no just television actor. He's really about that life. He trains world champions in kickboxing, UFC, you name it. He's trained them. He spars with them, like to date. So it's not
Yeah.
like 20, years ago or 15, like even as recent as like now, 2021, he still does that.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, I was watching an interview with him, and he was talking about a lot of your favorite gangster rappers who you see they talk about this women, this and all these girls they got and blah blah blah. And he's like, a lot of them is not really about that life. And he was talking about rappers who he would, if he was in a fight, who he would want beside him that he know, you know what, yeah, they would
Hmm.
have my back. And two of the most, the two that really came to mind that he spoke of was he spoke about Tretch from Naughty by Nature
Okay. Yep.
and Fat Joe. He said Joe's really about that life. But he's like most of these other guys, they're not. He's like, you look at someone like Ice Cube, he sings about all the. He's like, Ice Cube is a family man, been married
Yeah.
to the same woman for over 30 years. So,
Which is a good thing. Which is a good thing, by the way.
yeah. So,
We're
yeah,
not
we're not saying
denouncing
it
that
in
as
a
well.
bad way, but we're just
Yeah.
saying the perception of what they give across, to, like who their audience that they're trying to reach to is like, yeah, I'm about this, gangster for life, women, this and that or whatever. And they can't do anything like that. LL Cool J is another one as well. He
Yeah.
literally spoke about that with some of the songs that he did. He said he got into so much trouble with his wife when he did the music video for doing it, and doing it. Well, that music video, he got into so much trouble because, it was quite sexual and
Yeah.
all the sexual connotations that was in it and innuendos. And he's like, when his wife saw it, he's like, yeah, they had to have a talk. And that
Well,
talk, involved the pastor and everything. Literally, like,
well,
you're
this.
in the doghouse when the wife takes you to your local pastor there, like for counseling there. There's nothing you can do. But it goes to show, like, even though he knows it's music, he respects his house, his home so much that, since then he's changed the way he does music and certain things because he's not going to, even though he knows it's a job and it's what brings in the money,
Yep.
but it's not worth the risk of hurting the one that you're actually with or whatever. So,
Yeah.
you know, portrayal and actual reality of perception of what you are is completely different to what they sometimes give out. And again, it goes
Yeah.
to show
Yeah.
like what we're saying about music and about things. So a lot of these same artists that do these gangster rap, when you listen to what their influences are with music, like we were saying about, you had so many of these guys was tweeting about Kenny Rogers when he died, and you'd never think when you listen to like like a DMX or a
Yeah.
so forth that, you know, they would actually say they actually, that was one of their musical influence, because you never know. Just because someone gives a certain persona doesn't mean that that's actually who they really are, whatever. Which is why you should never judge music or anything else based on what your peer or anyone else might think. If you like something, appreciate it, speak about it, you know, bring it out there, enjoy it, because you
Exactly.
never know what you can actually do. Your action could actually influence someone else to be themselves, to actually express themselves the way they really want to, which is a big problem sometimes when we don't get to do that. Is what causes a lot of issues for people.
Exactly. And I think this is another thing as well. I think in modern day music, I don't hear passion anymore.
Nah.
When I used to play live, and my favorite live performances which I've witnessed, I used to walk off that stage, and the person I'd be watching me walking off that stage, and they would have left every single thing on that stage, like blood, sweat, tears. It's left on the bad gigs I played personally were the gigs where I know I wasn't giving 100%, and I was just mucking around a bit too much. But yeah, I people need to learn to let go again.
Yeah, but sometimes I think it's like what you're saying, Manny P. It's like it's who they surround themselves by, because they see that record labels and, you know, the audience that's out there now, they tend to gravitate to superficial, nonsensical music. Then even if they are talented, you know, you probably get someone who's like classically trained, you know, who's like amazing at it. I mean, someone like, for instance, like an Alicia Keys, who
Hmm.
was classically trained or, you know, with piano, who's like an amazing artist overall, probably would not make it right now.
No, probably not.
If she came out right now, she probably could make it, but not on the commercial level of a modern day artist now. She'd probably make it for a more serious music lover. Like, for instance, you know, you probably have, like right now, you know, you probably have, there may be someone that we walk past day in, day out, and we would not know, but this person's probably like famous in, you know, maybe in classical music, opera, whatever, because it's not publicized as widely as the generic BS that we're hearing right now. So
Yeah.
therefore, you won't know exactly that this person is actually like so and so. It's like even you say with, like, you know, you talk about Vibes Cartel. Vibes Cartel is known to a lot of people like us now who know Vibe Cartel, but he could go into London and walk around, and he won't get recognized only, you know, by the majority. It will only be by people like ourselves who know who Vibes Cartel is, who will know it. You play his music, you know, you'll get a reaction, yes, but to actually say, oh yes, I know who that person is, not many will do. The only good thing what people have now is if someone says to them, oh, did you know that's so and so? And like, who? Now you've got technology at hand. They could go on their, you know, their phones and, oh my God, yes, it is so and so. But in terms of without technology, you know, be able to appreciate it based on the person's talent and how you would in our time when music was music, you don't have that right now. There's not that luxury right now. I mean, I saw something, you know, sorry to keep yapping. I
Hmm.
saw like a little, it's like one of those little quizzes where it's saying one of these artists has to go. Which one do you think is the best right now? And it had 4 or 5 artists
Yeah.
like from right now, these young ones. And Manny P, I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I didn't recognize a single one of them. I could not tell you what they be singing or what they be rapping about or nothing. I didn't recognize a single one of them. And I'm looking at it like, really? That's how bad music has gotten that I don't know any of these guys or whatever. You know, you don't know any of them. Whereas before, if this was going back on like a 2000, you know, late 80s, 90s, let's say 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, mid 2000, and you
Yep.
put up artists or whatever, guarantee, even if you didn't know all of them, you're going to be able to say, oh, yeah, I know that one. I know
Yeah.
this one. But it's sad now that this age now, you don't know half of the stuff and half these people because we just don't give it the time of day because we know what to expect. It's just absolute nonsense.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right as well, because in our day, when we were growing up, we still knew about great artists from the 70s and the 60s. We knew who they. We may not necessarily have known all their music, but we knew about their reputations at the very least, and we appreciated those artists that were there even before we were born. Because I think, we just having that respect for the lineage of great music was there growing up. But now, oh my God, like some of the youth of today, like if you mention, say, David Bowie, who we've spoken about, I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't know who we're talking about. And David Bowie's like one of those artists who's transcended like multiple genres and multiple, like,
Yeah, but it's like you said, they would not know it
cultures.
unless without their phones. They'd have to go on Google, say, Siri, who's David Bowie, in order for them to actually know who it is. And they, because they look at it like, oh, that's old music, that's not nothing.
One of the best examples of this was a couple of years ago. Kanye put out an album and he had Paul McCartney guest
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
And on Twitter, there were people legitimately on Twitter saying, "Oh, who's this Paul McCartney guy? I'm really happy that Kanye's giving chances to these new artists, these new unknown artists like Paul McCartney." It's
But
just
then, yeah,
like Jesus Christ.
but see, that's what makes us seem old, Manny, because then when we talk about stuff like that, like, oh, it's old people stuff. Like, I mean, again, I'm digressing, but even look at even fashion. Like I see, I got some of my young drummers, young guys from my marching band, and their fashion is they like these like skinny jeans and all these kind of stuff, and I'm just like, that's just so
I,
wrong. And they
I
look
wear
at me
skinny
like,
jeans.
oh. But you see, that's acceptable. You know why I can say that?
Hmm.
Because you were in a rock band. So rockers in general, rockers have always been known to be eccentric. The skinny jeans and mascara and all of that. Look at Bon Jovi. You look at Guns N' Roses. Van Halen. You look at all of those.
One thing I will say as well, though, if you look at like those skinny jeans and like the spikes and all that kind of stuff, if you check out hip hop from the late 70s, early 80s, they were all rocking that look as well. If you like Grandmaster Flash
Right,
and all
because
that
that was
scene.
the era. But again, it still looked manly.
Yeah, there's a way to pull it off. There's a way to pull it off.
Yeah. Some of these guys, I even say to them, I'm like, some of y'all, y'all look more sexy than your women that you're walking with. Like literally, y'all got more shape than your women in the jeans. You see y'all walking
It's
from
good
the
to see
highs.
you being poppy checking them out, Davey.
Well, no, but you just have to say, if you see, I'll show you why I said that, man, because I took a picture with one of my young drummer and I sent it. I sent it to a lady and she's like, wow, his jeans are tighter than mine. And this is a woman that's saying that. So if a woman can say that there, whatever, it just goes to show that, it's not just me in my mind or whatever that just think, okay, that's a bit much or whatever. But, I guess it's just the error. They just feel like, yeah, this is it. It's all about now. They don't appreciate anything like, like the
There's
music.
they're skinny, then they're skinny, Penny says.
Yes,
100% correct. Um,
yes.
yeah, there's that good, nice, tight fit you can get in a pair of jeans, which I like. But then there's that suffocating feel you can get in a pair of skinny
Yeah,
jeans, which
that look like
yeah,
bloody
I'm
what's
not
his
into.
names? Like Peter Pan tights that he be wearing. That's how some of these jeans be looking.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, I'm just thinking about more of the stuff I was listening to in the 90s. So yeah, I was listening to Metallica, I was listening to Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, I was really getting into.
Yeah. You had 90s.
Sad thing for me was I was the only person in the school listening to any of this.
Yeah, I have to say I never got into Nirvana. I didn't. I saw a couple of their stuff, but I never. I don't know. I just didn't. Like I said, I just didn't, but I mean, I did love Metallica. Like I said, from I saw, that, I Disappear, that was just like it for me. I absolutely loved that. And the video was just absolutely amazing because the video was about them, but also at the same time, it had, clips from Mission Impossible with
Yeah,
Tom Cruise. And it was just absolutely top notch badass. It was just like, oh my God, yeah. And it made you appreciate that because I always remembered that song. And you know now with the beauty of like iTunes and Spotify, all these like music apps that you can have, I've got a lot of these songs, these things that I loved. I have them on. The ones I don't have is ones I can't seem to find on those apps or whatever. But if I could find it on the app, I would actually have it or whatever. So
yeah,
my collection of music, I mean, just like yours, it's just going to be huge and varied. You're going to have everything, and it's like I was saying, you have to have albums for everything.
yep,
Like therapy music. So you have to have an album for everything. We all have a playlist for songs when you're going out. Depends when you're going in, and you get yourself in that mood or whatever. You know, I have a heartbreak playlist, a list of songs that's like, that's just like sad songs, or because sometimes you're going through stuff.
Davey, do you know what we should do for a podcast?
Yeah.
Let's pick our genre, say heartbreak music, going out music. Let's just pick like themes like that, and we
Yeah,
present our top 3 songs for each theme.
yeah, that is perfect. I can definitely do that. We should do that as one of our next podcasts.
Yeah,
I've got my playlist already anyway, so I can go from my playlist and choose like 3 songs, and then we have to say what the meaning is behind those songs. But
yeah,
again, it's like we're talking about how music can have like a great influence. You're saying about teenage, adolescent years, it's really good. I think also when you may find true love, not just first love, but sometimes, I mean, in some cases, your first love might be your true love and you're with them. But you might also go through a stage, like for me, in my 20s, I would say when I was like 23, and I met this incredible lady on a night out. I met her in a bar, and I remember, you did that whole stare. Do I approach? Do I not? And you finally do or whatever. The old school way how you used to talk to someone, where you actually verbally communicate.
hmm
You don't send emojis and one letters, and you actually use your words, put sentences together.
I don't know what you're talking about, Davian. Words. Jesus Christ,
you
what are you
know
talking about?
exactly. There I am again being old fashioned. But yeah, I met this girl, and I remember 2 songs that always stuck. Yeah, that is so true. 2 songs that stuck in my head and it always is just reminiscent of that particular person,
hmm
was um Jagged Edge, Walk Out of Heaven.
Oh, I don't. How does that one go?
How does it go? Oh. Let me bring up the lyrics and then I can say it because I remember it once I have the lyrics fully in my head. Jagged Edge, J-E, Walk Out of Heaven. Yeah, there we go. It's coming up now. Jagged Edge.
Come on, Davian. We got dead space now. Come on.
Yeah, so it's basically saying, I'm rolling down that lonely highway, asking God to please forgive me for messing up the blessing that He gave to me. I see everything clearer. Now the nights are as black as black, and it's even been without my girl. And if I'm without my girl, I'm going to lose it. And the chorus is basically, feels like I've walked right out of heaven. It feels like I've damn near thrown my life away. I'm scared just like a child that's lost at 7, which is so
Oh yeah, I
cool
do
to
know that
actually
song. I do
say.
know. I do know that song. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that particular song was one of the songs that me and her danced to, like literally. And the next song was Genuine in Those Jeans.
Were they skinny jeans?
And well, yes, for her. It wasn't a man wearing a skinny jeans, it was her wearing the skinny jeans.
Okay, okay. So there were skinny jeans somewhere involved.
Yes, and he was asking, tell me, is there any more room for me in those jeans? And he's there asking her. I mean, granted, if he probably wrote that song now, he may get himself in trouble because, that might bring out the Me Too movement. It's like, how
It's a
dare.
bizarre lyric anyway. Like,
No, it's not. That is poetry.
get your own pair of jeans, Genuine. Stop trying to steal this poor lady's jeans. Sure, she's paid good money for them. Get your own jeans. God's
Well,
sake.
he's got enough money that he can actually
Well, exactly.
buy her
Exactly.
buy her a new pair.
Exactly.
He's saying,
There's a
he
song.
basically basically saying, looking good, plenty tight. Is there any more room for me in those jeans? That is just so sexy and funny at the same time. It's cheeky, but it's not crossing the line.
Yeah. I got to admit, I like you, Davey, and I think I had a bit of an obsession with Always by Bon
Oh,
Jovi when I was in my
Bon
mid
Jovi.
teens,
Come on now, man.
in terms of associating that with girls who I probably liked at the time.
Yeah, but you know what would be funny now, Manny P? Could you imagine us
Hmm.
playing that song to some of these youngins now and saying, yeah, this is music, and they be looking at us like, nah, you don't know music. Listen to some Cardi B and some Azealia Banks. This is music, which makes no sense.
I think you've touched upon a really good point here. You know how I said music's not edgy anymore?
Yeah,
I think we've kind of entered a phase where a lot of these artists are kind of taking the metaphor out of it.
yeah,
So they're just like saying like the filth basically for what it is. And
right. Rather
but
than
it's
leave it to
cooler
the
when it's
imagination.
hidden behind a metaphor and you've got to unpick it. And then you're like walking down the street and you're like, oh, that's what that song means. Oh
Yeah,
dear.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like I think it's like that. You remember, that movie Idiocracy,
I've never seen it. I think I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
right? Well, Idiocracy basically just it's kind of like one of those Simpson episodes where it predicts things of how things is going to be in the future.
Hmm.
When and literally, Idiocracy basically speaks about how dumb society has gotten in the future. Like there's like an actual scene where the guy is like trying to hook up with a escort, and he's
Hmm.
basically paying her. And rather than pay and then you get the service, he's paying, and she's like, "Yeah, I think I'll come and see you maybe next week." Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Penny. Yes, one day David P will sing when he gets some lessons. But yeah,
Because
Idiocracy
he needs
basically is
them.
just definitely. He speaks about how, dumbed down society has gotten. And I think that's exactly what music is now reflecting in a sense, because
Yeah.
there is no, like you said, there's no metaphor behind where you just know need to work that out or whatever. Rather than say, yeah, girl, I want to take you home and rock your world, where you could basically interpret that anyway. Now they're gonna tell you that, yeah, we're going there if you ain't. Well, we're trying to stay on air. We're not gonna get cancelled, but
No.
literally, they're not gonna say as decent as that. Literally, they're going to just go all out and just say exactly what they're going to do. And if you ain't, and you just think, wow. But the funny thing is, it's like it seems like a lot of them they love this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like it's almost like, oh, can I be even more controversial than the song previous?
Yeah, look at
And
Cardi
it's
B, that
just
song where she's got WAP,
yeah,
which
it's
it basically, rather than say WAP and then leave it there where you'll have to figure out what WAP is, he basically telling you what WAP is or whatever.
yeah.
Not just giving the abbreviated WAP. She tells you exactly what WAP stands for. And you just think to yourself, really? Gone are the days where you just, like tease it and you just say whatever and we'll have to try and figure it out now. Now it's just too easy, like, and even going like I look at music. To me, music is how I look at
But this is the
being,
thing.
how I
Music should be
engage in it.
about poetry and metaphor.
You're
And
right.
if you're not having that, then it's just it's dumbing you down. It's like eating fast food instead of proper like preparing yourself some vegetables and
Exactly.
and a properly seasoned chicken. Do you know what I mean? It's
And
just
then you're gonna compare. You have the cheek to compare that fast food that you just ate, that you don't know what's in it, to an
yeah,
actual authentic meal.
authentic organic meal.
Right. And you
Yeah,
just think to yourself, oh my. And the fact that you actually have to try and like debate this with someone, it's like you're dumbing down yourself, not calling anyone dumb, so please,
yes you are.
don't get all. But I'm just saying, you literally, it's like you're trying to explain to them the rationality behind why what you're saying makes more sense than what they're saying. You have something authentic and you have something that's not. It would be like if I go out and you created a film, you wrote the script from start to
Yep,
finish, and it's a nice movie. But I will go out and I will do a remake of a movie that was already a blockbuster, and I bring everyone in who's like superstar actors, and then that movie sells based on that. And I'm going to take credit as if, well, I created a masterpiece. No, I didn't, because it's not authentic. It was already done. Whereas what you've done is authentic because you did yours from start to finish and you still got recognition for it.
yeah,
So your recognition that you've got for yours, to me, ranks higher than the recognition I will get for something that is not authentic. So it's the same with the meal. The meal that was actually authentically prepared will be more nutritious and it will be more appreciated than the one that you went on your Uber Eat, you know, or for us here in Jamaica, what they have, which is called pickup app, and have it delivered. You prefer the home cooked one over that anytime.
exactly. It's like, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes you want a bit of fast food. The same time, the same way you just want like a quick, easy song in the nightclub or something, just to set the mood. There's a place for everything, but I just think
Yes,
we're just ignoring, you know, some of the better written music.
because they believe the hype. They believe just because something is trending, it means that it's better. It does not mean that it's better. It does not mean that. I mean, you look at something like, you might see like one of these artists now who will have like 1 billion views on YouTube, and
Yeah,
their song is absolutely rubbish by our standard, musically, lyrically. And then you'll have something that we think is an amazing song, and you look at it and it may have like a 2 million view. It's not
yeah,
because it's not as good. It's just because the audience that it's reaching out to, that's actually more into it because of the times as well. Technology is only getting advanced now. We have a lot of older people who would have appreciated great music, isn't technology savvy, so they won't be able to go on there and, yeah, let me go and do the like and this and that, because that's not them. That's not their era. They're from the era where you'll go to the shop and buy the cassette or buy the CD, from a normal era. This now is just like download, download or stream or whatever. So they rank up these views. And plus, you also have these days now, Manny, where people can actually pay to have their, to get views, increase numbers on their
yeah.
views and followers and things like that. So literally, they're buying and monopolizing the market. So it's not genuine.
And
It's
the other
not
thing,
genuinely.
I think as well as Dave, you've got this thing as well at the moment where kids will, young people, will either buy a beat of somebody else or just download the beat off the internet, rap over it, and then put that back up on the net, and then it blows up. And I just don't see the artistry in
Well,
that.
but that's the thing, Manny. These people actually do consider themselves artists.
Yeah, I
They
think,
do. And they genuinely, the sad thing is, they genuinely believe that. And they genuinely will compare themselves
but
to
the record
someone that
labels,
we consider an
but the
artist.
record labels are enabling them as well, and enabling this type of music by signing them up and
Yeah, but
pushing them
remember,
pushing them to
yeah,
the moon.
remember, Manny P, record labels are corporations, and corporations just care about what?
Money.
Profit. So
Yeah,
because they know that, this is the in thing now and this is what they like, this is what this generation like, they don't care about that or whatever.
exactly.
They don't care about the new music.
And I actually think it's exploitative of some of these young men and women they sign up as well, because they just put them out there with their styles for like 6 months, then they just hang them out to dry after that. They
Yeah,
just
but then
kick
at
back to the roadside
yeah, but
again.
yeah, but then at the same time, Manny, I don't feel sorry for them because I would only feel sorry for someone if they had no knowledge, no guidance, no one behind them to say, listen, son, or listen, daughter, or whatever you want to call yourself now, because now you've got so many different things now, different genders, all sorts. So, you just say to them, listen, this is how the music industry is now, and this is how it will be. So, if you're famous now for 6 months and then 6 months later, that's not happening, this is how you'll deal with it. Kind of like therapy, preparation. But the
Yeah.
thing is also, what you have is a lot of these people, just like with anything, you'll tell them stuff, but they will have no interest in actually hearing what you're saying because they'll be like, well, yeah, that happened in your time. That won't happen to me because they never believe it will happen to them. When they're on top of the world, they feel like they will always remain on top of the world. And when they come down, they don't know how to deal with it. And that's why you tend to have some of these people who go through depression, like you have, I mean, not just this era, you also had that in our time growing up because remember, one of the common things growing up for us was a lot of child actors who turned into drug addicts,
Hmm.
committed suicide, whose lives were ruined because why? They weren't able to transition from not being a celebrity anymore to being an ordinary person. Or also, they weren't able to navigate how to deal with being a celebrity because it came so sudden upon them. So they didn't have any counseling or any therapy, or maybe they did have that around them, but because of who they surrounded themselves by, they actually got all those things excluded from them because they were told, no, you don't need that. You're Manny P. You're the Duke of Homerton. You are that guy. Yeah, you don't need no therapy. Come on now. You're a star. And they buy into that mindset. And that's why they actually, when they do realize that, you know what, we're no longer profitable to these record labels or I'm no longer this, a lot of them end up like either harming themselves or harming others or literally just don't know how to handle it or whatever. They have all kind of breakdown and it's sad or whatever. So I mean, to me, anyone who's getting into the industry now, all they need to do is basically just prepare themselves for life after it. What could be if you're just going in for a quick buck and you go in and you make one hit and you make some money and you buy a
Oh my god.
property or something like that, then
Penny
you're
just
okay.
said worst song ever, Gucci Gang, and look how it blew up. Penny, I was literally about to name that song when after Davian finished his little soliloquy. It was the song I was about to reference as being awful.
Yeah, see, I've never even heard that.
It's awful.
Oh, I know it. Is it the one where he just says that's all he says the
That's
whole
all he
song,
says
like
throughout the entire
Gucci,
song.
like Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Yeah. 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 And the other day, well, not the other day, a couple of weeks ago, Otis asked me to, sorry, Boho Chevy asked me to react to a Sixes Nine song. I started it and I thought, I can't even be asked to actually sit through the entire thing. It's only like 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah, but that's
And I was
that's
just like,
120. Yeah, but that's 109, 150 seconds of your life that you probably won't be able to get back.
yes. And I was just like, do you know something? This is going to be such a negative review. And I'm already getting so much hate from the Zadia Banks video. I'm not going to do this review. I'm not going to do this reaction.
Yeah, sometimes it's not worth it or whatever because again they will just look at it like we're just hating on them. We don't know music or whatever. Okay.
One of my favorite comments from the Azalea Banks one. Let me see if I can find it.
Manny, you've really taken that to heart, haven't you? You really got, you know,
I just find it
got
hilarious
you
how
under their skin.
I just find it hilarious.
But for everyone out there, I don't mind what comments I get, good or bad. I am appreciative and I will respond. It's not we're not taking it personal or whatever, you know. So I'm an advocate for free speech, and whether it be negative or positive, I appreciate the comment, even though mine have all been great.
So I've currently got 8 likes and 22 dislikes. Somebody says another great reaction. Davie P. Oh, that's you. Sorry. He wants to hate this so bad. It's actually funny to look at. I didn't want to hate it. I just generally disliked it. But this was my favorite one, David. And I think this sums up kind of the youth of today. This is from somebody named Sad X Reality. I feel like you are talking like you think you are speaking facts. Well, I never meant that at all. I was just giving my subjective opinion, sir. But you don't. This person's grammar is terrible. But you don't. Even if you don't like her, you got to admit that she has talent. She mixed rap, house music. She's unique. I'm sorry. How many people in our era were mixing house and rap music from the 90s and 80s and noughties?
Yeah, but the thing is,
Jesus Christ.
A lot of these people that's commenting, a lot of them probably don't go past music past 2010. For them, old music is 2013, 2014. Oh,
well, exactly.
So therefore, they won't know that. So it's good. I mean, take all the comments, because then you might be able to bring them back, because you know there might be some some new young songs that you could relate to, and I mean, sorry, you could actually react to. That's actually quite good. I actually got one sent to me. I actually listened to the song. I'm going to send it to you. It was sent to me by someone very dear to me.
Yeah, Penny's just, I think, reading the Gucci Gang comment. Yep, total crap. Totally agree.
Penny, you don't know music, okay? I mean, come on. For someone to say Gucci Gang for 2.5 minutes, that is real talent right there. But then again, whoa, look at it this way, Manny P. Maybe we're the stupid ones, because think about it. If these folks are smart enough to realize that they don't have to say anything and they can make millions,
sorry,
I guess
Penny,
they are the genius.
What happened, Manny, in regards to... the Azalea Banks song?
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
I just got
slaughtered.
I just got slaughtered for giving it a terrible review. It wasn't even a terrible review. I just said it was average. And I had flashbacks to awful nights which I spent in nightclubs. Because I hate nightclubs. They're terrible places. It's dark. The drinks cost well over the odds. You can't talk to anybody.
It's like going to a football match.
And you think you've been dancing with a hot girl, then the lights come on. I find out I've been dancing with Davey the entire night. You know, it's
He's long hair. That's why I'm gonna have to change it up now.
You know, but at least Davey paid for the cab home.
There you go. Least I could do, Manny. Least I could do. Put you through enough.
Exactly. But Dave, I think we've had a good chat. I'm gonna knock you on the head now. Done an hour and a half.
Yeah, and we had a good time.
I think there's other things we can go to. But yeah, I think we're gonna say bye now.
Yes, and again, tune in, like, subscribe, comment, even if it's negative. Manny P loves it anyway.
I do like the negative comments actually, because they are
direct
hilarious.
them towards him. Davey P, Mr. Shimmy, likes the good comments. Keep them coming, all my LP fans.
I definitely feel as though that maybe in the comments you're the good guy and I'm the bad guy. I think that's the kind of dynamic we've got.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, how in wrestling you'd have like a babyface commentator and a heel commentator. I feel as though I might be the heel commentator at the moment.
Yes, you're Jerry Lawler. I'm Jim Ross.
Yes, exactly. Well, I am the Duke as well, so. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. So when's our next podcast, Manny P? Because we need to tell them before we go.
Okay, so I was actually going to suggest you stay online so we can discuss that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, well, keep a lookout on our Instagram page. Our Facebook page is still under development because of these new things Facebook wants when you're setting up a page. So bear with me, but our Instagram page is up, and
Oh,
also
that's not it. That's not the Instagram page. That's the Instagram page.
there we are. That's us right there. Instagram at the VMN. We're there. So hit us up. Any suggestions, comments, reactions you want us to do, just let us know on there. And stay safe. For those in the UK, it's your bank holiday weekend this weekend coming up. So
It
enjoy
is.
it. Hope you have some nice weather. And for everyone else, have a nice weekend. Davie P out.